Today, my guest is Jerry Gantar, and I'm really looking forward to you meeting him and hearing what he has done. Another Littletonian who's very, very talented. So, hi, Jerry.
Hi. Well, thank you for inviting me here. I'm looking forward to the interview. A little nervous, but I'm sure you're going to make me relax.
Right, we are. Just think of it as we're in my dining room, sitting at the table, gossiping.
Having a couple drinks.
Yeah. Listen, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself first, and also, what made you decide to do this book?
Okay, well, first about myself. I'm an 84-year-old, almost 84-year-old Littleton senior. Been married to my wife Beverly for 43 years. Originally from the Midwest in the Chicago area, and I moved out to New England in 1969 to work for a small computer company called Digital Equipment Corporation, and worked for DEC for 20 plus years, then worked for Compaq, then for HP, and took retirement maybe 12, 15 years ago, something like that. Mm-hmm. My wife is a longtime resident of Littleton, even before we were married. I had a home in Maynard, and when we married, I sold that and moved in with her in Littleton.
Good.
We have a home on near Gary's former farm stand on Sheridan Lane. And I don't know, we love living in Littleton. We love the convenience. We're a little concerned about all the development. Some of it's good, some of it's not so good.
It's going to change, but...
Definitely.
But did you both like to hike? Because this book is about the White Mountains.
Yes.
And, it's a beautiful book, first of all, and the pictures are gorgeous.
Thank you.
So I'm interested in you telling why you decided to do this.
Okay, a couple of reasons. I do enjoy hiking. I started hiking in my late 20s. At the age of 40, I hiked to the top of Mount Washington and back, an all-day hike of 10 hours. When Bev and I married, she got interested in hiking, and we hiked, at least, over the years, we've hiked at least 3 dozen trails in the White Mountains. When our kids got older, they developed a love of the White Mountains. In fact, our middle daughter has a home up there that she uses part-time. When the grandkids were old enough, they joined us. So we're basically a family of hikers. We've hiked to the top of Indian Head, the whole family. We hiked the Zealand Trail. We've hiked Lincoln Woods Trail and Falling Waters Trail, a number of trails as a family. Uh-huh. So it's a great family interest.
Oh, good.
And it was nice to be able to share that interest first with my wife, then with her children, 3 children, and then with our grandchildren.
Great.
I started going to the White Mountains primarily because I was interested in landscape photography, and I would drive around New England. I went up to Acadia, up to parts of Vermont.
Oh.
And then one summer, in early October, I decided I'm going to try the White Mountains. I've never been there. And I arrived there, and I was just overwhelmed. I was driving along the Kankamongus Highway, and the colors were just gorgeous. It's like I've never seen anything like that before. Well, and as I was driving along, I had a whole week up there, and I spent that week hiking, taking tons of photos. Back then it was slides. And I loved that area so much that I decided I got to do this every fall. And I've been doing it for over 50 falls.
Wow. And it looks like you liked it so much, you wanted to share it.
Yeah.
And so now we have this book, a visitor's guide to the White Mountains.
Yes.
And it's really got everything, I think.
Yeah, I had this great big binder. Every year before we would go up on vacation, I put together like an itinerary of what we wanted to do with road maps and photographs and handouts.
Yeah.
And eventually the binder was like 3 inches thick with stuff to do up there. And one day I decided, I love the area so much. I have all this information. Why not do a book? Share the information with other people.
Good.
So that's what I did. I set about writing this. I started in January of 2023 and finished the book and sent it off to the printer November of that year, and then published the book in December of 2023.
So you were ready. I mean, you were really ready, because usually it takes people months and years to write it.
I had all the information accumulated over 50 years of visits. And I had like my little routes plan for scenic drives. I knew about more than 3 dozen different hikes up there. We visited a lot of the natural attractions and did a number of other activities. So I had all the information in hand, and it just poured out. I was on the computer. It took a long time. I was on the computer for easily 6 to 8 hours, 5 days a week.
Wow.
In fact, my wife, Beverly, didn't see a whole lot of me for a while. We'd get together over lunch and dinner, and then right after dinner, I'd head back up to my computer and start working on the book again. But it fell in place quickly. And the other nice thing is I had this huge reservoir of images, photographs that I had taken, and I incorporated many of them in the book.
Yeah, it looks like it. And I guess it looks like you're saying you need to go visit the White Mountains, meaning for anybody.
Right.
This kind of tells them what's there.
Right.
And, there's a lot of information in there to look at. And there are a lot of hikers out there, but also people who never hiked that might be interested once they've seen this. Or even just to drive up that area and take a peek,
That's why I did the book. There are a lot of books, tons of books on hiking the White Mountains. Many of them bestsellers. But I noticed that there wasn't one book that was sort of for everybody, that gave them recommendations for 7 scenic drives. In fact, there are 7 scenic drives in the book that I recommend.
Good.
Each has a map and an itinerary and photographs of stops along the route.
Yeah.
There are 33 hikes that I recommend, and they range from very easy hikes, good for families, to more moderate hikes.
Good.
To 3 or 4 very challenging hikes, including Mount Washington, Mount Jefferson, and Mount Chocorua. And each hike has photographs of what you'll see. There's information about the trail itself, how long it's to plan for the hike, how many miles.
What about what you should take, like, with you?
There are recommendations for hikers in terms of, I have one whole page devoted to, if you're going to hike, these are things you need to be careful, you need to do. Among them, don't hike alone. That's the rule number 1.
Right.
Which I violated many years ago, unfortunately. But, and there are a number of other things that I recommend before people even go off and hike, including sturdy footwear. And each trail, I describe it in terms of, this is a great hike for family, or this is a great hike for a couple. This is a good hike for someone that's a little older, that you don't want to climb to a summit, but you'd like to have a nice walk through nature.
I like it.
So there's a variety of things. And there's also a lot of information about attractions, natural attractions like the Flume, Lost River, the Basin. There's also a lot of information about other activities. If you're really into things, zip lining, off-road tours and adventures, skiing, snowmobiling, kayaking, tubing. So it runs the gamut. And that was when I talked to my book distributor, when I had this idea and he suggested I go ahead with it. He said, there's a place for this because there's no one book out there that has everything in it. He said, if you want hiking, you refer to these books. If you're interested in natural attractions, you have to look elsewhere. If you're interested in scenic drives, then you've got to look at another book. He said, your book consolidates everything into one resource.
Good.
And he said, I think there's a market for it. And the book has sold fairly well. It's been out a little over a year now. I've sold just under 400 copies. It's available on Amazon.
Good.
It took me a while to become a seller, but I managed to do it. And it's also available in about a dozen bookshops and retail shops in northern New Hampshire, especially the White Mountains area.
Good.
So it's getting good visibility. I still have a ton of books sitting in my family room waiting to be sold, but it was a labor of love. I think I mentioned to you in email, the White Mountains is my happy place.
Well, good.
If I want to go somewhere and just relax and take in nature, that's where I go.
Good.
And that was my intent in the book too, is to share my love of the White Mountains with other people.
Well, I'm glad you did this while you were younger so that now you can handle the hiking trails that are for people who can't get up there anymore.
No more Mount Washingtons for me. No, definitely not.
But it's really a great book. It does have everything. Is there one in our library?
There is one. I talked to I forget his name, our librarian.
Sam?
Yes, about a little over a year ago. And he said, sure, he'll purchase a copy. So it is available. In fact, after it was purchased by the library, about 6 weeks later, I took a look to see if anybody checked it out. And my goodness, there were at least 7 or 8 people that had checked out the book. So
those are 7 or 8 people that are on the White Mountains.
Right. So
and they know how to get there and get down.
That's right. So there is interest. And I do need to hit some of the other local libraries, Groton, Westford, Acton. So that's one of the things that on my to-do list this year is to get into some of the other local libraries.
Yeah, I think you should. But I think that people will put your website and how to get a hold of this and things to see, like you have a photography site, right? Photographs?
I have a separate website for my photography.
So I think that people need to go there. We'll put it up on the screen. And I think they need to get and see some of these and
those
read
are my
what you've
photographs.
put in here. It's great. Goes to show you again, Littleton's not a bad place to live, and we have a lot of talent. And here's one right here, but you're not the only one, because I heard that Bev has written children's books.
She wrote one. And in fact, another reason I did this is because before I worked on this, I helped her publish her children's book.
See?
She did it through Amazon KDP. It was the first time experience for both of us. We learned a lot. There are things we would do differently. And in fact, she's her own worst critic. I think she did a great job, and I think her stories are wonderful. There's 3 stories plus a counting exercise for children.
Nice.
And it's available on Amazon KDP. There's a long title. Basically, it's Lester the Hungry Lizard, and then there's a bunch of other things that she covers as well.
We'll have her on sometime so she can talk about that.
She enjoys writing. She's an artist, but she doesn't enjoy the artistic side as much. She likes the writing side. In fact, she would like to find someone, maybe at some point, to collaborate to do the
pictures,
the visual side of it.
Good. That would be great too. We'd find that out when we talk to her.
But thanks to my wife, she gave me the impetus to work on this.
Well, I think, like I said, I am really happy that you came on the show to talk about it, because I'm not a hiker. My daughter is, and her boyfriend and kids, but and I'm kind of away from going that direction anymore. But I think it's a great book, and you've got to get it. Got to get it and see, what's in there. Read it page to page, book cover to book cover. And when you see Jerry, wave and tell him you've read it.
And if you bought my book, I'd be happy to autograph it.
There you go. I forgot about that.
And in fact, if they're interested in just what's inside the book, if they go to Amazon and just type in Visitor Guide to the White Mountains, it'll pop up.
Okay.
And there are several images of the interior of the book, and there's also a short video of about 80 or 90 seconds that actually gives them a look inside the book, and it'll give them a good idea of what's actually inside the book if they're interested in.
Yeah,
before
I'm sure
purchasing,
people will do that.
Just take a look.
Yeah, but they can also get the book and keep it at home and take it with them when they hike.
Yeah. By the way, the video that I put up on Amazon, the voice is AI generated. So us seniors are up there. We're doing the latest technology as well.
See that?
I'm
proud of you. All I want to say is I love New England, and I think we live in a beautiful part of the States, and we have a lot of things that we can do that are fun and
very fortunate.
Beautiful and healthy. And so I think I'm going to hang around New England the rest of these days.
Well, as a transplanted Midwesterner, this is my home. I find it difficult to go back to the Midwest because it's so drab. And, New England has so much to offer.
Right.
And, from Littleton, it's a little over a 2-hour right to the Cape. Right. Or a 2-hour drive to the Green Mountains or the White Mountains.
Right.
Acadia National Park is only 5 or 6 hour drive from here. So we're very fortunate to live in such a beautiful area.
We really are. My husband's a transplant too. He's from North Carolina, who always wanted to live near Boston. And now, the saddest part of his being here is he had the cutest Southern accent when I met him. It's all gone. He sounds more like he's from here now, but when he talks to his mother, I can hear the accent.
How does he pronounce Cuba? Is it Cuba?
No, as a matter of fact, he doesn't. It's Cuba. Depends where you're from in the South.
Yeah, we count our blessings living in Littleton and New England. The only place I kind of dread going into is Boston. If somebody drives me there, I'll go, but I'm not going to drive in myself.
No. Well, that means you're not going to do a book on Visitor's Guide to Boston, right?
Absolutely not. I've been toying with the idea of maybe doing a photographer's guide to New England.
That's nice.
I don't know. I might do that. I have a lot of images of Vermont and Maine and Massachusetts and Connecticut, and I thought I could make recommendations in terms of if you're a landscape photographer or a nature photographer, here are my recommendations for places to visit.
Good.
So that's possibly something I'd work on. My wife Beverly might say, no way, I want to see more of you. I don't want you to go into hibernation for another year.
But we'll be looking forward to it. So, but thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for the invitation. I wasn't quite sure. I was a little apprehensive about this, but this was a fun experience. And to all those seniors out there who have interests to share, don't stand back.
No.
Call Barbara. Get on her show. Enjoy your time here. She'll make you. You'll have a wonderful experience and really make it worthwhile. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, well, you know me. I'm a good time Charlie. And mischievous too. So, but thanks for coming. And I
you.
look forward to seeing Bev again and also hearing about her book and letting everybody out there know that, again, talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, find out who has things that are of interest to our viewers, and give us a call, like Jerry said, and we'll put you on and let you give the works.
Yeah. Share your interests.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
That was very interesting. I love that area. You know, my wife is from upper New Hampshire area, the White Mountain area.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time in that, traveling that area too. And I was fortunate enough that Jerry autographed a personal copy of the book for me.
Me too.
Yeah, so I'm going to use it.
Yeah.
And see what else.
Do you guys hike?
Yeah, we still hike.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll do Mount Washington, but I'll go for the easy hikes.
Yeah.
That perked my attention when he said
Well,
that.
I talked to him later and I started to laugh. I thought I was teasing him when I said, oh, so do they have one for wheelchairs? And he said, as a matter of fact, there is a path.
There is.
He said, so anybody can go.
That's great.
And I thought, oh, I was just kidding, but
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
No, these days there's all sorts of people can hike. Everybody can hike, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
So it's wonderful.